Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about some interesting quotes Todd Bowles gave on his, I guess, end of season press conference here. I am not alone in this video today. Joining me is the voice of the voiceless, Mr. Evan Wanish of the Can of Fire podcast, SB Nation. Evan, some interesting quotes here from Todd Bowles, I guess, closing press conference. Is that what you would call this?
Yeah, I don't really think you can expect Todd Bowles to be talking much more until maybe like the combine or so. So, I mean, really, this may be the last chance, that a lot of people are going to get to hear from a guy like Todd Bowles. But before the offseason really gets underway.
Now, there were a couple of interesting things here. Firstly, what was interesting to me was on if he has spoken with General Manager Jason Light of the Glazier family. Bowles said, not at this time, no, I just met with the team. So you did say the next time we will be hearing from Bowles is at the NFL Combine, if he makes it to the NFL Combine. I know a lot of people are a little sour on Bowles right now, so I just got to be fair, throw it out, throw all viewpoints out there. We will see, but I mean, you are still of the mindset we believe that he will be back. Um, and there was a couple of interesting quotes on where he'd like to see the team improve. He said, right now, all areas, whatever it takes to get to the next step. Right. Obviously, they're still in a lot of contemplation mode, right? They're still in a lot of processing and things along those lines. But there was a lot. I'm going to read you the exact quote, Evan. Okay, I know you looked up the quote, but I'm going to read the exact quote here from the Buccaneers communication website. Okay, now when asked on if he's contemplating any changes to his staff, Evan, here is the exact quote, word for word. Not thinking about that right now. Again, we're having exit interviews. We're fresh off the loss. As the days come, we'll go from there. We went to the playoffs 5 times with the defensive coaches we have. They're very good coaches, obviously. A lot of things have to happen in that we've got to get more interceptions, we've got to coach it better, but we've got to play it better as well. There's a lot to dive into that quote, Evan, and a lot of people have been clamoring about certain types of things in terms of changes to the coaching staff. Now, of course, Todd Bowles, we've talked about that, but even making some changes to the defensive coaching staff at all. This quote was interesting to me. What were your thoughts and opinions when you saw this quote?
I mean, there's a lot of heat right on Todd Bowles right now, and I think deservedly so. Look, the Bucs defense has been an issue for really the entire season. I understand that they haven't been as healthy as I think you'd like to, and they can't predict injuries. But when you look at that quote, I mean, I sure hope that it's just something that he's kind of just saying to the media because to me, if Todd Bowles isn't going to be the one being let go, I think there needs to be some sort of change. I mean, look, the players, right? The personnel needs to get improved, right? And that's on Jason Light, and hopefully they can do that, right? But there needs to be some changes along this coaching staff as well. And it's been yes, they went to the playoffs 5 times with the defensive coaches they've have, but that means it's been 5 years. Like it's time for a change. I think some fresh voices in there, maybe some guys that can give you a little bit different perspective on how to play a certain thing. Obviously, the interceptions this year. Bowles mentioned that they want to get more interceptions. Only had 7 this season. I believe it's the lowest in team history. So it wasn't good enough. And if Todd Bowles is going to stick around, I don't know how much confidence I can have in returning the exact same defensive coaching staff as this past season. So hopefully we get some news coming out over the next couple of days of some coaches being let go and some changes being made. But I understand loyalty is a trait, but if Bowles wants to keep his job, he might have to test that loyalty a little bit.
Yeah, man, look, I get it. And I will say this right off the jump. There is part of this that I agree with, right? In terms of, hey, we're fresh off the loss. As the days come, we'll go from there. Not thinking about that right now. Bulls obviously didn't 100% close the door on that. But to say, too, like, we went to the playoffs 5 times with the defense coaches we have. They're very good coaches, obviously. Does kind of lean to Bulls really likes the guys that he has in the building right now and might not be open to making a ton of changes. But at the end here as well, we've got to coach it better, but we've got to play it better as well. Do you feel like, and I'm not trying to start a narrative here, but do you feel like there is also saying like, hey, yes, the coaches could be doing better, but also the players could be doing better as well?
I do. I mean, look, there's blame to go around both ways, right? We can criticize Todd Bowles, you can criticize the defensive coaches, whatever. But the fact is, the Bucs didn't have enough pass rush, this season. Middle linebacker was an issue all season. The cornerbacks were an issue all season. Not to mention that's not even including the health of a lot of guys like Antoine Winfield Jr., Jamel Dean, Zion McCollum, I believe missed some time. Jordan Whitehead was in and out of lineup, missed some time. Vita Vea missed some time. Kalijah Cansey. So there's been a lot of injuries on that side of the ball. But that being said, I think, we say a lot on the CFP that, it's the coaches can only do so much, right? At the end of the day, the players have to go out there and execute. And like Todd Bowles or, Kevin Ross, like the cornerback coach, they're not going out there and missing a tackle. Right, like that's on player execution. At the same time, though, we've seen some issues with Todd Bowles' scheme really throughout this entire season. And I just think there needs to be some fresh faces in there. So to me, honestly, the way the quote went and the way he said it, I'm not gonna lie, I've never minced the words or anything. They're good coaches. Obviously, came off to me as a little bit arrogant. I mean, just a little bit very overconfident in a coaching staff that hasn't really had many good results this season, and last season was kind of up and down too.
I think that you can't say, when asked on where he'd like to see the team improve in the offseason, you can't say right now all areas as I dive into it. You can't answer a question with that, and say, but I can name a myriad of things and it'd be too long of list to go into right now, whatever it takes to get us to the next step. You can't say that. And then when asked about potential changes to the coaching staff, you can't say, they're very good coaches, obviously. We went to the playoffs 5 times with these defensive coaches we have. It seems like you're contradicting yourself a little bit. Is that fair to
Mm-hmm.
say? Because literally just a couple of questions ago, you said, hey, all areas we have to improve on going into the offseason. Well, that probably includes looking at the defensive coaching staff coach,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you mentioned one of the first things, right? That Todd Bowles had not yet met with Jason Light and the Glazers, right? And ultimately, if it's the suggestion of Jason Light and the suggestions, more importantly, of the Glazers, that you make some defensive coaching changes, you're going to be making some defensive coaching changes.
Well,
That's just how it's going to be.
yeah, because I mean that's gonna be curious too. It's like, look, if you're, and like you said, like if he's saying this to the media is just a media thing, that's one thing, right? But if behind closed doors you're also having that energy, and Jason Light and the Glazers are saying, no, Todd, like your outside edge rushing linebackers were not playing well this year. Your cornerbacks were not playing well this year. Your safeties were not playing as well this year. Like, make some changes. And that same energy is still out there. That's not a good look, Evan. That's not a good look at all, in my opinion. And that'd be an interesting scenario. I'm not saying that's going to happen because I think that Jason Light, the Glazers, and Todd Bowles all have a very good relationship amongst each other. But I am going to be curious to see what happens if that is suggested. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I mean, look, if push comes to shove, I do think if he is told you're going to be making some changes to your defensive coaching staff, he's probably going to make some changes, right? Because if he refuses, that's a dismissal of him. Then, so I don't think he's going to choose, keeping his friends as a sign of loyalty. Over his own job. So, I mean, if that's the way that conversation goes, then yeah, who knows? And like you said, the Glazers, Jason Light, Todd Bowles, they all have a great relationship. That's not what we're saying. It's that's not a strained relationship. But if they demand some change, that's what you got to do. And it's a results based business, and the results on defense. While it wasn't the 100% reason why the Buccaneers would lose football games, in 2024, or even the playoff game, it was a big issue. And I think there needs to be some change there, whether it's big or small, not just on the player side of things, but also on the coach's side.
Finally, too, it's just on if he's spoken with offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, and we're not going to really super deep dive into the quote here, but he said, "We've had a conversation. Me and Liam are very close. We have these types of conversations as far as what to expect from an interview and everything else. Of course, Liam Cohen is interviewing for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job. At least you know you're picking the right guy. We'll see what happens going forward from there. If they're not talking about your guys for interviews, then you're probably not doing it right." Again, just that's kind of weird too towards the end there, because it's kind of like, I mean, yes, kudos to Bowles for hiring Liam Cohen for sure. But that's just a weird way to end that quote there. Like, if they're not talking about your guys, in essence, Todd Bowles guy and Liam Cohen for interviews, then you're probably not doing it right. It's a weird way to end that quote, in my opinion. Any final thoughts on that before we head out?
I kind of took it just more so as like, you know, teams follow success, right? And the Buccaneers are clearly an organization that have had some success, right? I believe they're the only team in the NFL or the NFC, something like that, to make the playoffs 5 years in a row. So, you're getting John Spytek is being looked at for the Tennessee Titans general manager job. Mike Greenberg's being looked at for the Jets general manager job. Dave Canales got hired last year as a head coach, right? Todd Bowles, has a coaching tree. So I think that's more so what he meant. I think it's just, that's what comes with success rather than, I don't think he's maybe like tooting his own horn there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to me, it's just, that's sort of what comes with success. And we will see if the Buccaneers are able to retain Liam Cohen. Most likely, again, like you said earlier, we both believe Todd Bowles will be back. So Liam Cohen would be back as the Bucs offensive coordinator.
So, guys, what do you think about these quotes? Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions about this down in the comments section below. Go check out Evan's work over at SB Nation, BucsNation.com. He writes a lot of articles over there. Also, go check out his show, the Cannon Fire Podcast. He does a great job over there as well. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. As always, we'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.